And I've been in the Ariba implementation, I would say, for more than 5 years at least. In addition, I've done implementation in S4, ECC, and so on, um, mostly in the supply chain side of things, right? So in SAP Ariba, I've done all the modules and multiple projects in various modules, with a few projects in the supplier risk module as well. So look forward to doing training with you guys. So let me screen share to get started, folks. I want to show you guys which system we will use in order to conduct our training, right? So as part of the training, when you guys end up signing up and so on, right, you guys will get access to the Ariba system, which you're seeing in the screen right now. This is basically um, Ariba Classic interface. Classic as in buying and invoicing. This is where you will access Ariba upstream, downstream. I'll try to explain what all those terms mean as well as we keep going on, right? So this is one place where you will do a lot of things, right? So we'll spend a lot of time doing and training in here for demos and also for configurations. In addition, we have one more uh, system here, which is, I won't say a different system, but basically another interface to access the same site. It's called Guided Buying. Guided Buying is geared towards end users who are looking to meet their casual procurement needs. And this is the place where they will spend their time in order to make purchases, create purchase requisitions, which means, in Ariba, you need to create a PR before a PO can be created. So I'll explain all that in a little bit at a high level. In addition to do approvals for purchase requisitions, for example, they will do it here, right? And receiving as well, they will do it here. So there is two places where we will conduct our training. This is the classic interface. This is where you will do most of your configurations. Here you will still do some
Manish,
configurations as well.
sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah,
Just can you leave my call once? Thank you.
sure. Okay, so these are our sites, right? Naturally, we will not spend a lot of time here today. Reason being, before we do anything here, we also want to understand what Ariba is all about. I understand that you guys are from various backgrounds. We want to make sure that you get sufficient context before we get into the nitty-gritty details of things, right? So let me open my Word document, blank Word document basically, and we can do a bit of intro to Ariba, what are the various modules in it, talk a little bit about what this training is going to cover and so on, right? So let me bring this over here. You guys can see my Word document, the blank Word document. You can raise a hand if you want. Okay, it looks like some people raised. Thanks so much, Pramod and Ali. Um, okay, so SAP Ariba overview. Today we will basically do an overview. It's a demo. It's not focused particularly on one topic. It's focused on pretty much everything, but at a high level, right? So SAP Ariba, what is SAP Ariba? Some of you guys might know. Some of you guys might not know, right? So SAP Ariba is e-procurement solution from SAP. Okay? E-procurement means it is focused primarily on procurement, right? That's one. And also it is cloud-based. That's another thing to keep in mind. It is not on-premise. The the clients who end up implementing SAP Ariba, they do not have to worry about setting up sites, setting up clients, and so on. All they need is a user ID. and a link to access their site, right? So Ariba will give space to um, companies who are looking to implement SAP Ariba, right? And that space is going to lead to a URL. So every client is going to get a unique URL. For example, in the site which I was looking at before, there is one unique thing here. It's called Curity, and there is a unique thing here called Curie, right? So this is the client basically. So Ariba is going to give a client. It's a cloud client. It's not really a client which is on premise, right? It's e-procurement, which means it's focused on procurement slash supply chain. Now, it can being a very broad term, right? I want to also clarify that it's not like everything supply chain. It is basically procurement. Cloud-based, which implies every client gets a unique URL, which implies no need to set up hardware, right? Like servers and so on. No, that's not needed, right? Now, what modules does SAP Ariba have? And these are the modules we will also cover in detail in our training in various upcoming sessions. Number one, Ariba SLP module. SLP stands for Supplier Life Cycle and Performance. Second is Ariba Sourcing module. I'll explain in a few minutes what all these modules do actually. Ariba Contracts module, Ariba Supplier Risk module, Ariba Buying and Invoicing module. This is actually two modules. Buying is one module, invoicing is another module, collectively called buying and invoicing, right? Two modules, buying and invoicing. It also has, won't see it's a module, but it's more like a website, Ariba Network or Business Network, supplier portal. Some people call it module, some people do not call it module. But so these are basically high level, various things which Ariba do, right? Now I said before, Ariba is procurement focused, right? So which means whatever activities Ariba is doing, they are going to be naturally focused on procurement, right? So all these are actually modules are focused on parts of procurement, right? So these modules collectively, modules 1 to 4, are called Ariba upstream module because they focus on in procurement activities. Now, what is upstream procurement activities? Employees, sourcing, creating a contract. Right? Now, the reason Ariba SLP module is lumped together with upstream is because in order to conduct, um, you know, your sourcing and create a contract, you need to have supplier records, right? So we supplier data. In SLP module, you will basically create that supplier data, right? And the risk module is also lumped together with upstream because it is basically working on supplier risk, right? And suppliers are managed in Ariba upstream, like SLP, right? So these are collectively, you can say, all four are parts of Ariba upstream: sourcing and contract. Right? Now, why do we need sourcing and contracts? Can you guys hear me? I'm getting a message that somebody cannot hear me. Are you guys able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ye-
Yes, I
Yes,
can
we
hear
can.
Great,
you.
great. Thanks for confirming. Ajit, if
Yes.
you want, I think you might have to. Yeah, I think he left already. He's probably gonna rejoin shortly. Now, it's just see at the end of the day, it is terminology, right? It's called upstream because it is just called upstream. Just like supply chain is called supply chain, right? Upstream comes before downstream. That's another way to look at it. The whole goal is you need to find a contract with a supplier, right? It's an important concept to understand from procurement side. I'll give an example. We are all consumers at the end of the day, right? We work in different, you know, countries, probably different cities, right? We probably have different kind of jobs, but at the end of the day, we are all consumers. So what we do is we go to online shopping, right? We go to eBay, we go to Amazon, we go to Flipkart, right? Different websites. And what we do is we end up buying things which we need. Like we add them to the cart and we check out the cart and we make a payment. We don't engage in these things called sourcing and contracting. And there is a reason for it. We are consumers, we are not businesses, right? So Amazon is B2C website, it's business to consumer website. Somebody else cannot hear me. Okay. Guys, whoever cannot hear me, maybe I'll send a message out to all that please rejoin.
I'm guiding them, Manish. No problem. Okay, you
Okay,
can carry on.
thanks a
Thank you.
lot. Yeah. So we are consumers. So whenever we buy something online, we are in B2C, right? We are not in B2B. However, let's take an example of an organization. Let's say it is uh, government of India, for example, right, or government of US, something like that. Those are businesses. Although they are governments, they are still businesses. They are not individual consumers. Those organizations or businesses need to do these activities before they can actually purchase, right? So you can go to Amazon, you can shop your computer,
We
your
are
mouse,
unable
whatever
to
you need
hear
to
you,
buy.
Manish.
I can hear you, yes, Fahad, yeah. Okay. Are you guys with me? I think there is some also people speaking up in between.
Yes, sir, we can
So,
hear you.
okay, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much. So, this is basically involved only when B2B procurement is involved. You're looking to buy, but before you buy, you need to create a contract. That's called a Ariba upstream, right? So, we can say that these steps or which sourcing slash contracting is necessary in B2B because in businesses, before purchasing happens, contract is created, which means before people go shop on Amazon, they need a contract, which means Amazon actually is not a B2C, it's not a B2B website. B2B is really, we're talking about Ariba here, right? So Ariba's Amazon version is BNI or guided buying, right? So what I showed you here, right? This is Ariba's Amazon version. It's not set up in the best manner because it's not doesn't look the most beautiful, but it can be improved quite a bit depending on what the client needs. Like all these things can be changed, right? So Ariba's downstream, which involves BNI, which is buying and invoicing, slash GB, which is guided buying. Right? So we can
Sorry,
say
what
this
does
here.
GB means?
Maybe I should clarify. GB is guided buying. Thanks for asking. Yeah. And BNI is buying and invoicing. If you go back to modules, buying and invoicing module, in this there is also guided buying. It's more like an interface on BNI, right? Guided buying and interface on BNI module is for end users. Really. Now we will discuss in a great level of detail, right, when we go to different modules, what do we mean by end users and what we mean by non-end users, right? Non-end users are basically professional users who will do upstream activities, right? So anything sourcing related, anything contract related is not end user activity. It's a strategic activity. It's done by people called buyers, contract managers, sourcing managers. Different terminologies can be used in different industries, right? So this is Amazon blend Ariba for B2B. If you guys get this concept, right, then I think we are not in a bad shape for an overview, right? So we have 5 modules, broadly speaking, sixth one being an interface, more like a portal website where suppliers will log in, right? First 4 modules are mainly Ariba upstream modules, and this is where strategic activities will happen. Strategic activities are sourcing and creating a contract, right? And I'll explain more when I go a little bit further down what sourcing means, what contract means, and so on. SLP module is necessary because you need to create supplier master data before you actually engage with suppliers in sourcing or you create a contract. And the risk module is also part of Ariba upstream. The reason being that it is monitoring the risk of suppliers which are created in SLP module, right? So these 4 modules lumped together are, let's say we color code it, upstream modules, right? And this alone is the downstream modules, right? Buying and invoicing, along with the interface called guided buying. So this is downstream. Easy way to understand, upstream is strategic activities, downstream is operational activities. Operational activities is what? You purchase things, you create invoice, you approve invoice, right? Or you make a payment. Those are all downstream activities. Upstream activities are strategic because these are necessary as a prerequisite before you can do downstream, right? In a B2B setup. In a B2C setup, all of us being consumers going to Amazon, we do not do sourcing and contract. We do not create supplier master data. We do not monitor supplier risk. We just create a shopping cart and we pay through the credit card. Could you guys raise your hand and see that if you got the concept, and I'm good to move on? Okay, great.
So, Mr. Manish, I have a question here.
Yes, please go ahead.
So basically, what I know is the request has to be sent to the suppliers in order to get the offer, and then again, once the offer has been received, uh, s- again the company sends the offer to different contractors. So, is what is this process, and where is it in this upstream or downstream?
I think what I would suggest is I didn't quite catch your name. Uh, let's follow the steps. You will get what you're asking as an answer.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So for those who raised hands, thanks for confirming. For those who did not, I'm hoping you guys got it. If not, we will still clarify more, and maybe that's when it is more clear. Uh, So let's try to understand what all these modules individually do, right? That's going to clarify the question which was just asked as well, right? Interaction with suppliers and everything, right? At a high level, we'll try to understand that. SLP module, right?
Hello, sorry.
Please go ahead, yes.
Yeah, um, uh, that's fine. You're trying to explain um using this example of Amazon. I
Mhm.
just want to add to the last question asked. In trying to provide that explanation, I would also appreciate a detailed, thorough difference between upstream and downstream. That's that's what I
Difference
will add
between
to.
upstream and downstream,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Okay.
In the
So
in the in the cycle.
in the cycle, like in the
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
Okay, so that's a good question. So let's try to understand Ariba process overall, right? End-to-end Ariba process. This is going to also help us understand how the various modules are talking to each other, right? It's like how they are all integrated with, intertwined with each other in terms of processes. The first step is data. Where does it happen? It happens in SLP module. There is more in SLP module, much more than what I just mentioned. Of course, it's not just creating a supplier, right? And we will try to touch some concepts in SLP module and various other modules at a high level. Once the supplier is created, your actual process of procurement begins from upstream perspective, right? You will conduct sourcing. Where does it happen? In sourcing module. Now, sourcing leads to basically a contract. When I talk in more detail in terms of examples as we go further down, it's going to be even more clear that how sourcing leads to contracts, right? So then it's contract creation. And contract is what? It's like a legal agreement, right? Legal agreement with the vendor. Where does it happen? In the contracts module. The contracts module also hold pricing, by the way, right? The pricing which needs to go to Ariba downstream for making purchases, like creating a purchase acquisition. So pricing is sent to BNI. And this is where you will create a purchase acquisition. Ariba BNI module. Purchase acquisition becomes a purchase order. Purchase order is then goods receipt entry, and then invoice entry, and then payment. So this is high level, in a way, a process which is end-to-end in Ariba. There are various, I would say, sub-processes within a process, if you will, which are also involved. But this is at a high level. You create a supplier. At the end of the day, you want to buy something from them and you want to also pay them for what you buy. This is basically end-to-end what Ariba does. And this is also what we call procurement, right? Now, where is upstream here? Upstream is all the way till here, right? So we say this is, let's say, green color. This is upstream. Rest all is downstream, right? All this is basically downstream activities. Does that make sense? I think the person who asked, are you clear with this?
Yes, Mr. Manish. Now it's clear.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for asking. I hope it helped other audiences as well. So this is end-to-end.
Manish,
Yes,
I have
please.
a doubt.
Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Manish, it's regarding this contract module that you just mentioned right now. So
Mhm.
the pricing, like initially when the contract is signed and agreed upon, it's something at that particular point of time. And if uh, the supplier wants to change the pricing, because right now you know the prices are not pretty consistent because of
Mhm.
supply chain problems and all. So would the whole contract be renegotiated once again, or would there would be some area where you can change the pricing, something like that in Ariba?
You can definitely change. So we haven't naturally looked at all the details here, Sandeep. Good question. But naturally, we will also look at as we continue moving. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You don't have to write the whole contract again just to change the price. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Hmm. Yeah, good question. So now let's try to understand a little bit about each of these modules, right? Let's pick the SLP module first. Just go top in the list, like sequentially. SLP module. What's SLP is what? Supplier Lifecycle and Performance. Right. So in this module, we said that you will create a supplier, right? Which means naturally that's the first step, right? But it also says life cycle, right? Life cycle is a very, like we are human beings, we have a life cycle. We begin and we die at the end, right? Similarly, suppliers, they are born when they are created, and in the end, they can also be delisted, right? That's what it means by life cycle. But whatever happens in between, that's what this module is all about. So all your supplier interactions, right, are managed through this module called SLP module, right? You guys see what I mean? So you will not only create a supplier, you will also manage the interaction with them, right? So create a supplier in Ariba. Let's maybe try to put them in bullet points. Register the supplier on Ariba network. I used this word called Ariba network before. So there is that linkage of the supplier record that is created in Ariba with the Ariba network. That is called register. That's what I mean by register, right? You first create the supplier, then you also register them on the Ariba network, because until they register, until they actually have an account on Ariba network, the steps of sourcing cannot begin, right? Hence why this is called registering on Ariba network, right? As we go deeper in our training in our upcoming sessions, we will understand what is registration. We will see how it works. We will see how to configure various aspects of registration or the process involved, right? And also the configurations involved. So we'll see in detail, right? How all that works. So register the supplier. There is also something called qualify the supplier for certain commodities. Okay? Qualify means that supplier is suitable for us to provide certain commodities in the long run. So let's say there is a supplier called Dell, right? Dell India. Dell India is a supplier, which means it was created in the Ariba site in the SLP module. They also registered on the network, right? And we are doing business with them for a long time, right? And then given the interactions with that supplier, we want to qualify them. Qualify means that we have assurance that the supplier is going to give us good quality of IT equipment, right? Dell being working in this commodity called IT equipment, right? So that's one example of it. Qualify step naturally only comes after we have purchased, right? So this step comes later in the life cycle of the supplier. That's why we are saying life cycle, right? We are not just creating once and forgetting about them. We're also looking at them throughout the life cycle. As you can qualify, you can also start doing business with them. All that can be managed in the SLP module, right? So if they are not performing well, for example, they are not shipping us in time, they are giving us bad quality product, right? We are not satisfied with the interactions with them, bad customer service, whatever. You can also say that we do not want to do any business with them, and all that can be managed in the SLP module, basically, right? So this is basically creating a supplier and managing the life cycle of the supplier. That's what SLP module does. Now, once these two steps are done, like means we have created a supplier's record, we have also registered that supplier's record. What we can also do is, which is the next logical step if we go in this process, basically, is conducting a sourcing, right? Sourcing is happening where it's happening in the Ariba sourcing module. That's where this next module comes in picture. Did you guys follow about the SLP? High level, of course. This is not detailed in any sense, but do you get general idea what this SLP module is doing?
So, hi, this is Satya. One question
Second.
I have is,
Yeah.
is this Ariba always only used for indirect procurement like SLP, or
Parts of
sourcing?
Ariba are
And
used. Parts of
yeah,
Ariba, see, it's a good question actually. You asked a question which is very advanced for I think some of the people in the audience, but since you asked, let's try to clarify. If you look in the modules in Ariba, right? What is direct, what is indirect? Direct is for everybody's benefit. If you are a manufacturing organization, right, and you're manufacturing, let's say widgets, right? For widgets, you need raw materials, right? Maybe there is some sort of steel grade you need, right? There is other equipment you need. You are having machines. You want to maintain those machines. A lot of things you can do, right? All that's process of manufacturing, and whatever it involves is called direct procurement, right?
yeah.
Direct, right? Just so, Satya, I'm just trying to explain to everybody, right? So that's direct procurement. Ariba is not focused on activities like manufacturing, activities like automatic inventory replenishment, Not everybody might understand those terms, but whoever is understanding, right? Ariba is focusing on indirect procurement when it comes to purchasing, right? So BNI module or guided buying is doing what? It's helping us create purchase requisition, purchase order, goods receipt, invoice entry, payment. All these are applicable to Ariba only for indirect. Now, what is indirect? Whatever is not manufacturing for a manufacturing company, that will be indirect, right? Means you are looking to buy, let's say, some nuts and bolts, right? But you do not carry them in inventory. You can buy them from Ariba, right? You will have a catalog for those nuts and bolts. You can actually see various nuts and bolts and the various grades of it and pictures and so on in great level of detail. All those things you can manage in Ariba. Office supplies. You don't need office supplies to make widgets, but you need office supplies to work in office. Those you can buy in Ariba. You need IT equipment to do your job, right? To run your computer, to make sure your employees are actually doing their job. They can log into the system and everything, right? Check their emails and all that, right? That's what laptops, various IT equipments, peripherals, hardware, software is all there, right? All those things you can buy through Ariba. But anything that is manufacturing, anything that is inventory management, anything that is needing a forecasting and automatic replenishment, all those things you will not do in Ariba. So anything indirect you can in Ariba in BNI modules, but anything direct you cannot, right? But that's
Okay.
only for Ariba downstream. Ariba upstream, you can still do all these activities for direct procurement. Like for direct procurement, you can conduct sourcing, you can still create a contract, and you
Okay.
can create a supplier as well. Does it help, Satya?
Yeah, it helps. Thank you.
Okay, I hope it helped everybody else too. It was a very good question. Brought in a little bit early on than what I thought, right? But great question,
Ye-
folks.
Yes, Manish, one more query from my end.
Hey, Jyoti, yeah.
Uh, yeah, qualifying the supplier means is there any physical verification or just by seeing the documentation? Yeah, whatever it may be.
Documentation. See, for example, the supplier is certified. You
Okay,
collect a certificate, you look at it, right? Now that basically can see that the supplier is qualified. And then, of course,
okay.
question answer
It
and
means
so on.
the history of the supplier, like revenue and the physical existence. Something, some. Is there any defined parameters?
You can include all those like revenues as well. But generally, see, questions like revenues and all you will bring in little early on, like in sourcing.
Okay,
Qualification is like, let's say today I create a supplier. Let's say that supplier is Dell India. They are created, they are registered. Now we so we do sourcing, we select them, we do contract with them, we start buying from them. 2, 3 years down the line is when this qualification process is going to begin because we have enough history with them, we have interacted with them enough, right?
okay.
Okay, good question. Okay, folks, let's keep moving on, and feel free to jump in, ask any questions if you have. So this Ariba sourcing module. So again, folks who are not from procurement background, they might have a little bit of tough time understanding what sourcing might mean, right? Supplier is basically supplier data. So this is a little bit easy to understand, right? Registration is basically creating an account on the Ariba. This is a little bit easy to understand as well. Now, of course, there is much more involved. I will not get into all those details because if I get into all those details, some of you guys might be more confused than what you needed to clarify, right? So Ariba sourcing module, what does sourcing mean? Again, B2B example, right? I go to Amazon, I buy a mouse, right? I like the picture of it. Um, I'm okay with the price. I don't, maybe I checked price in some other shops or some other websites, but I end up buying from Amazon, right? There is no, I still do sourcing in a way. I do price comparison, right? I did a price comparison on Amazon. I checked price in Walmart. I checked price in whichever company, right? And I checked 3, 4, and I found best price, but best quality is, let's say, Amazon. Just buy from there, right? And this is in a way B2C. We consumers in a way do sourcing as well, right? We do it on the fly. We do not do it for long term. We do it like for individual purchases. B2B doesn't do that. B2B does sourcing only for long term. They will say that in an example of a mouse, if we keep going further down with the same example of mouse, an organization needs mouse for their business operations, but they say that, hey, mouse is actually a part of our IT equipment accessory, whatever you want to call it, right? It involves some other items as well. It involves a keyboard, It involves a monitor. It involves a bunch of cables, right? It involves a laptop actually, or a desktop. So different items are grouped together, right? So those different items form certain commodity, right? So in sourcing, what these B2B in B2B scenario, what those companies will do is they will have a list of items which they want to get pricing, and they will send that pricing out to a number of suppliers. It's 3, 4, 5 big suppliers: Dell, HP, Apple, Microsoft, anybody else, right? Let's say wholesalers, right? In addition, in addition to get to pricing, they will also get more details. Like a question was asked about how big the supplier is. They will ask about supplier's history. They will ask about suppliers' organizations. Oftentimes, the businesses will share what type of service they require. Do they provide that kind of service in terms of warranty, in terms of delivery, shipment, repairs, and all that, right? So really, sourcing is a detailed version of what businesses will do, but we consumers do on a day-to-day basis. It is so detailed because it is long term. An organization in a B2B setting will not do sourcing just for one purchase. They will do sourcing for purchases over next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? So I hope you guys followed the concept. It is price, getting the best price, getting the best quality, getting the best terms for a given commodity, which involves one or more items. Did you guys get it? Maybe you can raise your hand to just confirm, or feel free to speak up yes, no. Okay, see some hands being raised. That's awesome. So let's try to maybe put that in words, right? Sourcing aims to get the best results in terms of pricing, quality, warranty, shipment, buyers, reputation, right? So it's a whole activity from every single angle you can think about, right? So we are not looking for one-time purchase, we're looking for a long-term purchase, right? And the reason for looking at number of different angles, which I, as mentioned above, as price and quality, is because in B2B, sourcing is for a long term, typically I would say 3 to 5 years, purchasing engagement, right? Hence why. That's why in order to get a sense of security, in order to get that, we are comfortable working with the supplier for 3 to 5 years, right? We get into all this. And also in sourcing, we get a price. Price is also important. Typically for companies, price become a very important criteria, right? So they will say 60% is price, 40% is quality, or vice versa, right? So you can do that rating as well in sourcing. When we look in sourcing module, we look at rating as well, right? Like how you can actually rate various these factors, right? Price, quality, warranty, and so on. All this can be also rated, right? So this is basically sourcing in a little bit more detail. Uh, Tomorrow we might end up starting with sourcing, so we will get into more details in sourcing tomorrow. So in sourcing, just to enter one more line here, a number of suppliers are involved, but in the end, one or two, mostly one. Let's just say one for simplicity. One supplier is selected, and this supplier is called the winning supplier. We say that the supplier actually won sourcing, right? Means they are coming out of sourcing as a winner, right? That's what this um, sourcing module does. You start with 4, 5, you look at the results of the sourcing for these 4 or 5 suppliers from different angles, and you come up with the best supplier. That's what your winning supplier, the one supplier is, right? So with this one supplier, what you do is you create a contract actually, right? Which happens where in Ariba contracts module. See, because you're saying that you want 3 to 5 years long-term relationship. But what is that relationship though? Where is that relationship documented? It's the contracts module. This is where legal agreement with the supplier for a fixed duration. Example, 3 to 5 years is created. In addition, in the contracts module, pricing that comes out of sourcing is stored. This pricing is then passed on to Ariba downstream. See how it is all linked together? You create a supplier, those suppliers get where? They get to sourcing. You end sourcing with one supplier, you get pricing. That pricing goes where? It goes to contract. You get into legal agreement, you finalize the pricing and all, that pricing goes where? It goes to downstream, right? And that's where you will do your procurement activities, right? I'm skipping the risk module. I'll mention that risk module a little bit later on, right? If you go in the sequence, I'll just go to BNI because that's where the process is going to be more clear. Now let's go to Ariba BNI module. Are you guys clear with what contracts module is at a very, very high level? Okay, somebody asked a question in chat. It sent just to me. Okay. I have a question. Do we get into the legalities of the contract or is it a different team? What are the legalities? So the thing is, see, what are we? We are basically at the end of the day consultants, right? We'll basically implement Ariba system. Now, Ariba system is going to have users in the end. Users can be legal team as well, right? That's a way to look at it. A typical legal team will be involved in the legalities because it is basically a legal agreement, right? So BNI module. What do we do in BNI module, right? As we said earlier, you will create a PR, you will create a PO, and you will do a goods receipt. You will create invoice. Invoice is going to go through its own processing, right? We will look at that. There is a lot of details involved in BNI itself. And then from there, it's going to go out for payment. That's basically what BNI module is all about. What are different components of BNI module? And with these components, we'll basically also cover in our various sessions. Contract compliance, catalogs, direct buying, invoicing, right? So I've sent almost like these are 4 main buckets of topics which we will cover. Of course, we'll do PR, PO, GR, blah, 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 all that we'll cover, right? And also approvals, by the way. Approvals for PR, etc. So contract compliance is important. It's not a module, but it's almost like a feature in BNI. Some people say that it is a feature in contracts, but actually it's a feature in BNI, right? And what contract compliance does is it brings the pricing which the contract has into itself so that this pricing can be used in PR creation, PO creation, right? And so on. So that's what contract compliance. It's a very, very detailed, interface or feature, if you will. And we will look at into detail what it all does. And there is actually one dedicated session just for contract compliance, right? So we'll look at that in detail. Similarly, we have a session for catalogs. Catalogs is, if you guys don't understand, a user goes to Amazon and they look for a mouse. And they look at the picture of the mouse, they look at the details, they look at the pricing. That's basically one item coming out of a catalog, right? So when suppliers load items in Amazon website, right? They do not load individual items. They load it in a, let's say, a format, certain format, just to make sure and it is meeting the requirements for Amazon, right? And similarly, Ariba has their own catalog engine or catalog area, or we can say functionality, in which you will load catalogs, means items, details, pictures. It involves some configurations as well because Ariba is again B2B. Some clients want to see things in a certain way and some details around it. So we'll have a session on catalog management as well. Garrett buying is, as we saw before, this is basically Garrett buying, right? This is, I just got logged out. So that picture is, which was showing in the screen before, that is Garrett buying. It is an interface for the end users. We will look at things which we need to configure in Garrett buying too, right? And invoicing. Invoicing is important. It's accounts payable activity. The folks who are coming from SAP background might know a little bit about it. If not, we will look at in detail what invoicing is all about. Again, B2B. In B2C, we are using credit card. Credit card is used for making a payment. Nobody is sending us an invoice in mail or email or wherever. In B2B, that's not the way how it works, right? You have to make sure that whatever you're doing is using the financial information from the client organization. Financial information means whatever finance has maintained as accounts from which funds can go out. Let's say cost center is a type of an account, right? You want to make sure that the right type of accounts are being used to make payments and so on. So invoicing is linked with that too. And so is purchasing. When you create a purchase requisition, you'll have those accounts involved as well. Invoicing also involves a number of other things such as its basic thing is three-way match, right? Maybe that's a thing which you should at least pick up. So Ariba performs a three-way match on the invoices that supplier sends. If you guys don't know what invoice means, invoice is basically a bill, right? We get a bill, we ought to pay it. That's what invoice really means. And by comparing the invoice with the PO and the goods receipt, right? So invoice is one document, PO is second document, goods receipt is a third document. So three documents are compared in order to perform something called a three-way match so that payment can be processed. We will look into detail how that three-way match and all those things which are involved in it to do various kinds of checks are done, right? And approval flows, again, you go to Amazon. If we take the B2C example, you shop for your mouse, add to the cart, check out, make a payment. That's B2C. B2B does not work like that. B2B has approvals. I create a requisition, right? Purchase requisition. It has to go to my supervisor, so the supervisor can check that whether I have created the right, whether I really need that product for myself or no. And there are dollar values also involved. There are various kinds of criteria which are involved, right? In order to make sure that companies' policies, I use the word called policies, which means approvals are driven by policies. Different clients will have different policies for approval and all that, right? So we'll look at building approval flows too. It's quite detailed. Some approvals will also be involved in sourcing and contracts. We will look at those approvals in a Ariba upstream, and similarly in SLP module. In BNI as well, we will look at approvals. The last module is risk, which I did not mention before, because risk is not really a process, right? Basically, data, right? Or report. So in this module, the focus is on monitoring the risk levels of the supplier. For example, legal risk, additional risk. I'll give an example. There is a war going on right now. And there is like Ukraine and Russia, right? So if there is a supplier who's based out of Ukraine, right, there is naturally some risk in getting a PO delivered from them, naturally, right, because of the war, right? So this is called an operational risk. There is a supplier who is at the verge of bankruptcy, right? They are into a legal battle with the government and they are fined very heavily. They are at risk of delivering our PO to us, right? That's another example. So risk is looking at various factors that can lead to supply chain disruption, if you understand that word, right? Disruption means that our supply will get disrupted, we will not get our goods in time, our business will be impacted, right? So that's basically what a risk module does at a very, very high level. Now, Ariba Network, as I mentioned earlier, now called SAP Business Network, new lingo for it, all the same module or same interface. Very, very important feature for Ariba, right? It's a it's not just a feature, it's a very huge selling point for Ariba, right? The reason I say huge selling point is because if you look in the end to end, whatever we have seen till now, suppliers are involved everywhere. You're creating suppliers, you're registering them. You're sourcing with a supplier. You're creating contract with a supplier. You're creating a catalog for a supplier. You're creating a PR for a supplier, PO for a supplier. Invoicing is with the supplier as well, right? So which means there is a lot of back and forth that is happening with the suppliers. A lot of exchange of information is happening with the supplier. You're sending transactions to suppliers, you're getting transactions back from suppliers, right? So this is actually a very, very important things for us to understand. Clients who are not using anything like an Ariba network, how are they managing all this interaction, right? They are managing it. There are a few ways to do it. Let's see an example. A client is not having Ariba. They don't have Ariba network. They're creating a PO. What they will end up doing is most likely they will print a PO. They will start an email. They will send an attachment in that email. They will send the PO to the vendor, right? So one PO, you are doing 3-4 steps. 100 POs, you're doing 300, 400 steps. In a year, I have a client, I was talking to them yesterday, and in the first 4 months of go live, they created more than 100,000 POs, 100,000 through Ariba. So before this, what they were doing is they were printing every single PO. They were sending it out to suppliers over email. Now they don't have to do it. It's done electronically. How is it done electronically? Because Ariba sends PO electronically to Ariba network, right? So look at the number of hours they have saved, number of days or months, even months they have saved, just by the nature, by the fact that Ariba network is there. What it means is Ariba network is a place where suppliers will get electronic transactions, right? So in this website, suppliers will receive POs. Let's simplify it. Receive POs and they will submit the invoices. The exchange of these transactions is electronic. Means there is no manual effort needed. Automatically PO goes out, supplier sees it, flips the PO to invoice, invoice comes back. Okay? So it's a very big feature and very huge selling point for Ariba. So I think at a high level, these are all the modules basically we are looking to cover. We haven't looked at every single nuts and bolts of what we are going to cover. But I think at this point, what we can do is we can open to questions, guys. Anything which is coming to your mind in terms of what we are going to cover, in terms of any questions that are in your mind, in terms of also in what we have covered. If you have any doubts, we can try to cover that. So feel free to speak up now.
Hey, this is Satya here. One
Hey, Satya.
question. I've worked in Ariba for about a year, so
Mhm.
I was curious if we will cover any integrations. I don't know if that's
Great point. So
yeah,
that's the thing you actually helped me out.
yeah.
So something called CIG, Cloud Integration Gateway. Right? So it's not a module either, right? It's more like
Right.
if you guys understand, it's a middleware.
Yeah.
Thanks, Satya. Thanks for bringing up. So middleware. Right? What does middleware do? So Ariba is e-procurement system. Means that you're creating your purchase acquisition, you're creating your catalogs, all these things we are doing. But it's not an ERP, but is not ERP system. And what is ERP system? Let's say SAP S/4HANA is ERP system. But what is ERP? ERP is where you will have finance, where you will have HR, right? So these two modules are necessary for Ariba to operate. We said that invoicing is going to involve, excuse me, sorry, one sec, guys. Yeah, so we said that invoice is paid to vendor, but the funds come from financial accounts. Where are those financial accounts made? They are maintained in the finance module, right? In the ERP system. We are saying people will use Ariba. End users will use Ariba. Professional users will use Ariba. Who are those users? Those are employees for companies. Where are those employees created? They are created in the ERP system in the HR module, right? Similarly, there is other data, plant data. Plants is like location. We'll get into all those nitty-gritty details. So I think main point I'm trying to make is, in order for Ariba to function, there is certain data that is necessary that comes only from ERP system, right? And which means that Ariba being e-procurement needs to talk to ERP system, right? In technical language, talking is basically all integration, right? Your Ariba needs to integrate to ERP system. And in order to integrate two systems which are different, we use something called a middleware, right? And CIG is that middleware. It's not called CIG anymore. It's called, I don't like the name, by the way, right? It's called Managed Spend Gateway for Ariba and Ariba Network, something like that, right? It's a very long name. So CIG, I like that name. I'll still continue to use that, at least for now, right? CIG is the middleware we will use in order to connect Ariba to ERP system. So in our training, naturally, we will look at CIG as well. Yeah. So thanks for bringing up Satya, right? So we will. So how does Ariba connect SAP, and which interfaces are commonly modified? We will look at them and how to modify them too. And steps that are involved in. Okay. So we will cover CIG as well. Thanks for asking. Yeah. Anything else, folks, on your mind? Any questions? Yeah, feel free to speak up. This is a good chance to clarify. Yeah.
Yes, I'm Nipun
Hey,
Jain.
Nipun.
So,
Hey, Nipun Jan.
so there was an integration between guided sourcing and normal sourcing. A two-way interface is there, or it's only a one-way interface that I can switch from guided sourcing back to normal sourcing if I create a order, or can we have a two-way integration?
See, so I think you mixed up some things, to be honest. I think guided sourcing is what? We looked at sourcing very briefly, right? So guided sourcing is an interface on Ariba sourcing module. We will look at guided sourcing as well, by the way, right? So Ariba guided sourcing is an interface on top of Ariba sourcing module. Yeah. There is no separate integration you need to build, Nipun, right? What it really
Yeah.
needs is you need to have that functionality enabled. And if it is enabled, you basically start using it. So in our sessions, by the way, we will cover both Ariba's standard / classic sourcing. We'll also cover guided sourcing, right? So we'll cover both things. Questions, guys? Speak up.
Manish, this Sandeep, this had one
Hey,
question.
Sandeep.
So I have come across people asking for Ariba integration with MM and other like SAP MM and other S4HANA modules. So will that be covered too?
CIG is basically the middleware which is going to help Ariba talk to SAP, right? So majority of the transactions which are going to be integrated are with the MM module, or basically all transactions. So which other modules are you thinking? What other modules you heard? I'm just curious.
I heard that even in for S4HANA, which is cloud based, right, like
Hmm.
Ariba.
Hmm.
So even for that, I think there is some kind of integration that needs to be done.
See, S4HANA cloud-based or S4HANA on-prem. At the end of the day, you will still use CIG for integrations.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And most of the
So
document
it's
flow is going to be an MM module.
okay. So it's just one middleware that we need to
Correct.
manage for MM and
Anything
okay,
Ariba, CIG.
okay, nice.
Anything Ariba and SAP, by the way, CIG.
Okay.
Hi, this is Satya. I mean, this I was
Yes,
holding
Satya.
off because I thought this was too advanced to ask. But since we are on the topic of integration, I just had one question.
Yeah.
Like in this company that I'm working for, we have integration between SLP and MDG through CIG.
Hmm.
So I was curious where the mappings are, because on the supplier registration we have fields, and I see that there is a mapping. But when it creates a CR, like supplier created onboarded in SLP will create a CR in MDG. So these mappings, where are they actually maintained? Is it in CIG or
In
in SLP?
SLP module,
Okay.
in this module itself, yeah. So those mappings, there is a field called, basically, as just you mentioned, field mapping. You put those fields in there. But again, CIG is used as a middleware, just to keep in mind. Even in that case, CIG is the middleware.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, it was very nice the way you explained everything. It's very
Yeah,
good.
thanks,
Hi,
Satya.
Manish.
I'm glad if you guys were able to make sense,
Hello?
because it's like starting point. A lot
Yeah?
of you guys. Hey, Adiami, yeah, go ahead.
Mo ti ra búrẹ́dì, ra ọṣẹ tó fi ń
Oh, that's a
fọṣọ,
different language. Maybe he's
then
just
ọṣẹ
speaking
tó
on.
máa fi wẹ̀,
How do I
then
mute him?
cream,
Can you put on mute, please? Somebody.
cream for body,
Yeah, could you? I don't know how to do them. For some
and
reason, I lost the
fruits,
people's
yogurt.
view. Adiami. Okay, let me mute him. Okay, yeah, I did it.
Hi, Manish. This is Fahad. A quick question. Like you mentioned, inventory is not maintained on Ariba,
Correct. Yeah,
right? So, meaning like we don't have material master?
we have material master, but it's only for upstream though. So the reason Ariba doesn't have inventory management is because it's for indirect procurement when it comes to purchasing. So I think you are from SAP background, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So in SAP, inventory management is core. It's core for materials management. I mean, it's whenever people implement, they basically have inventory management for the most part, right? So inventory management is a functionality in itself. That functionality itself is not there in Ariba, but materials are there in Ariba in the context of sourcing. So you can create your sourcing for materials coming from SAP. There is a standard interface for that, and there is also you can create a contract for those materials as well, and those contracts can create outline agreements in SAP, right? And that functionality is there, but you cannot buy off those materials in Ariba. The actual purchasing process is going to be handled in SAP,
Not through Ariba, right?
not through Ariba. Yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Anything on forward and reverse auctions you are going to cover? Like we have Japanese, Dutch, or English auctions, both forward
Forward
and
reverse.
reverse.
Yeah, forward. See, those are part of our, what do you call that, sourcing module. Yeah, we will cover various types of events and all that. Yeah. Questions, guys? Anything on your mind? Speak up, please.
I have some non-technical question like about the class timings and how many classes will be covered, or and the timings.
Correct, correct.
Manish, let me answer it.
Yes, please go ahead. Oops, there was some echo. Airaj, go ahead.
Hello,
Yeah, I can hear you.
one second. I think
I think you need to mute maybe like on your computer screen, and maybe you're through your phone, so unmute it through the phone.
Looking at
So I think let's go to the next question maybe. By the time Airaj speaks up, yeah. So question came in our chat. Um, does this training help us clear certification?
am I good,
Oh
Manish? Can
yes,
you hear
yes.
me?
Yeah, you can speak up,
Oh,
Airaj.
sorry for that. Actually, though, there are two, instances I was, opening there. That's the reason. Anyways,
I see.
Fahad, to answer your queries, you see, as we have mentioned in the emails also, the total duration of the course is approximately 45 hours. That we are dividing on the weekends only. Okay, so the sessions are going to be only on the weekends, and that's going to be 7 p.m. IST, the same timings which how you have joined today, 7 p.m. IST to 10 p.m. IST, Saturdays and Sundays, and sometimes it may extend depending upon the topic, like what we are covering. So ideally, it may take approximately 5 weeks, I can say, if you are going regularly on the basis, and there won't be any sessions cancellation as such. And if at all, if any issues, if unavoidable situation there, we'll inform you on the prior notice. We'll give you the prior notice on this. So ideally, it's 5 hours, weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and 7 p.m. IST to 10 p.m. IST. This is how the schedule is. And we are going to give you all the recordings, whichever been sessions you are attending. All the sessions are going to be recorded, and we are sharing all the recordings, documents. There are so many things we are going to share to you. And Manish, being a very experienced person, like having more than 18 years of experience he is holding, and in the training also he has done a lot of batches, he has already completed. So he's one of the very knowledgeable person, I can say. He's working in one of the big MNC in US right now. He's in North America, working with one of the big MNC, and also he's a solution architect. So hope you guys can take very good knowledge, and he can share his experiences as well during the training, during the course of the training. Yeah. So this is what it is, a brief about the training. Any more questions, guys? You can proceed.
And do we have the system access as well?
Yes, we'll be providing the 2 months of tenant access. That's going to be 24/7 shared with you, and you can do all the practice, and there will be proper support for the access also if at all you are having any issues or anything. Uh, so we'll be having our own team, the basis team will be addressing your issues. 2 months of server access will be provided.
And Manish or yourself, can you just also explain, like this is the Ariba training. It's not related to just sourcings or buying and invoicing. It is as a whole.
It's not an end user training. In short, I can say this is not going to be an end user training. Okay, it's a consultant based training. So the goal of this training is like after completion of this training, you guys could work as a consultant, SAP Ariba consultant on any project, whether it's going to be upstream, downstream, or a bit of integration, I can say. Okay, and of course we are going to create the groups, WhatsApp group also among you guys whoever been registered, and whichever and these groups are going to be lifelong. It's not going to be limited during the training, like after the training or 1 or 2 months. It's going to be lifelong. So whichever the queries, if you are getting, you can post it over there. We are going to answer those things. A
Okay.
proper support is going to be there. Yeah, post training also, I am saying here.
Manish, can you hear me?
I hope
Very low volume.
that answers.
Very low volume, I think. Srikanth.
Okay, can you hear me
Am I
now?
audible?
Okay.
Yes.
You're My volume is low for whatever reason. I'm sorry. Where is this? My question is, there are a couple of things. Do we have any glossary included as a part of this training? This is, let's say I'm not understanding a couple of words or certain concepts. Like, how do I learn about it? Is there any documentation, like a public documentation that I can read through in the interim? Like, while let's say you have
Yeah,
certain material, I
got
have
your
some
point.
more
Got your point.
questions.
Yeah, got your point. We are going to share you even before the training also. If you want, we can share you this SAP Pressbook, okay, which is being released by SAP. SAP Pressbook for sourcing and procurement using SAP Ariba.
Okay.
So since it's a book, so you can find the glossary over there. So whichever the words you're feeling, you can go and search it.
Awesome. And does this training also include like any particular real life scenario end to end, like not just theoretical, but let's
The
say
whole
we
training is
stuff.
based on that only, sir. The whole training, Srikant, the
Okay.
whole training is
Okay.
based on that. So we are not going
Okay.
to say like go here, there, and just click here, there. So that can be learned by anybody, even a graduate or freshman can also understand where to go, what to do, if he's reading the manual of the tool. But this one
Okay.
is a proper scenario based training. We are going to discuss a lot of scenarios. That's why I'm saying to you, Manish is a very experienced person,
Okay.
and he's going to share his experiences. On
So
every topic, I'm saying it's not only
okay,
the configuration. Before the configuration, actual configuration we are doing in the system, we are going to discuss the conceptual things first, then build up a scenario, and we are going to do the configurations accordingly.
okay. I have one last question, which is a little bit more for me. I'm totally new to what you call non-developer world. I do have high level knowledge. I'm a developer, so I'm trying to change totally from developer into non-developer roles. So this is my first introduction to SAP. So do I need to learn anything more before I do this course, like about SAP or something else or any other ecosystem?
May I know your technical expertise? Like, are you into any programming, specific programming languages like
I,
ABAP, or any other
I
technical?
did know ERP so far. I've been a what you call a programmer, C Sharp, C++,
Java?
WPF, Java, C, basically C, C++, Java, Python. I've been doing programming for last 10, 15 years.
Oh,
And
okay, okay,
I've been an analyst and a programmer, but not into this functional side. But I want to go into the functional side, and I
okay.
want to get introduction. So my question is, I was talking to your what do you call salesperson the other day, and she told me to
Mhm.
attend this demo to get an understanding on how
Mhm.
these classes are. But my fundamental question is, if I want, let's say, in 2 years' time, I want to be job enabled on this topic. Should I be starting with this module? Should I be starting with a even earlier, like a basic, more basic module? At what stage is it? Is it
Got
like a
you.
beginner level or
Got
is it like an intermediate level?
Yeah, got you. So here you see in SAP the major thing here. I mean to say the major weightage in SAP is given to domain. So domain in the sense like your domain experience. Let's say for
Okay.
example, if you are opting for SAP Ariba, it means you are moving towards a procurement tool. So how is your domain experience? I'm not saying only the knowledge, but
Mm-hmm.
domain experience in this one that really counts to get a good job here. Okay. So now
Okay.
still you want to move it. So you need to gain good understanding, at least a sound understanding how procurement process works. That's
Mm-hmm.
very important. Okay. That's little challenging here as you're coming from technical side, but not really. I can say a technical person, a programmer can switch to a uh, uh, basically a non-technical side very easily. But a non-technical person is going to be very difficult for him to switch to technical side.
Yep.
Since you're working since 15 years, you might have little understanding of taking the business requirements, converting them into the code and all those things. So you might be aware of basic business processes, right? A basic business
Mm-hmm.
processes is standard one.
Okay.
So
Okay.
here you need to only focus on procurement process here. So for that reason, I'm saying I am going to share you one SAP press book. Okay. Which if you are going outside in Amazon or something, so it will cost you 6,000 rupees, but we'll be
Mm-hmm.
sharing to you free. Even though if you are not registering also, I'm saying, since you
Okay.
are very curious to learn these things, so I'll be sharing this one. So that particular book is going to give you a very clear picture about what is procurement and how the procurement process is going to be, done in SAP Ariba site. So that will give you
Okay.
a clear picture. Then you
Got it.
can opt for this one. I don't really advise you to immediately jump here and go for the course, because here you'll be coming across lot of jargons. I mean, like lot of new words, which would be very difficult for you to understand. Okay,
Okay.
this is my honest advice.
That's true because I was talking to your other associate the other day, and I was literally trying to do multiple trainings at the same time because the next 6 months I have some domestic support. I
Mhm.
can put my full energy over here. So basically, I'm looking at HANA and as well as Ariba parallel. Now, my question is, how many hours of effort after the classes should you put to actually master this in, let's say, in less than 6 months? Like, should I put 2 to 3 hours per day, or is it like 4 5 hours per week? Like,
There
how
is
much
no
of an
such
effort?
thing called mastering. Shrikant, I'll tell you, like there is no such thing called mastering here. Okay, so
Okay.
nobody can be master over here. So
Let me
ideally,
put
I'm
it this
saying
way,
like if you want to
functional enough
the
to
know the
do my job.
uh,
So let's
functional
say I
enough
do
to
this
do your
I do this training. Let's say I practice for, let's say, 2 to 3 more months. If I join a job, do I have enough
Mhm.
knowledge not to stumble,
Of course,
but to
you
have
will have
all the
enough
things in
knowledge.
my hands to get a work on this done?
Yes. So you are planning for S4 HANA procurement, sourcing and procurement, and Ariba, both the things, right?
So I was given MM, which also contains HANA
Yes.
and Ariba.
Yes.
So
Yes.
combination of these is what I'm looking for my next targeted job. But the thing is, I want to know like what is the pacing? Can I do parallel? Because you only have 2 classes per week and I have free time. I'm just asking like, is it like a messed up if I do 2 classes at the same time? Is it like
No,
going to be
because you
like
see,
do one
these two
class?
things are not so different. These two
Okay,
things are not so different. Okay,
okay,
because eventually you're talking on procurement only. Correct. Whether Ariba or S4 HANA sourcing and procurement, that is MM. So both
mm-hmm.
of them are procurement. So it's
Okay,
easy to learn parallelly. It's not like you finish this one completely, then go for MM. It's going to be waste of time for you since you are looking something different position next 6 months, right? So I advise you to go for that parallelly, but before that, you have to build up your this I mean to say knowledge on procurement side.
okay. So that is a different course or just like a general reading elsewhere? Like that's
General
where
reading
I'm
that
trying
I'm
to.
going to share to you. Yeah, no, that
Okay.
I'm going to share to you. You have
So
to
it's just
read by
there is a
yourself.
subject matter and there is a tools to handle the subject, which is Ariba and HANA, correct?
Yes. It's like
Okay,
you need to
perfect.
have an understanding of the business process first, like how the business, how the procurement process works as in standard without any tool. Okay. You need
Okay,
to have a clarity on this one. Then only this is a matter of a tool only, whether you're using S4 HANA procurement or Ariba, the tools are different, but the business functionality is going to be the same. So I want you to focus on the business functionality at least for 15 to 20 days,
okay, that's fine. Uh,
ideally speaking like 2 to 3 hours daily.
okay, that's good enough for me. Now there's something else, which is certifications. Do we have any official certifications on these two topics? And
Yes, you
typically,
see,
what is the qualification to get certified?
now you see for the certification, very good question you asked here. So Ariba is having totally 6 certifications. Even though Ariba is a very small kind of tool compared to S4 HANA sourcing and procurement, but it's having totally 6 certifications. Okay, like sourcing, procurement, P2P, uh, P2P and procurement is one and the same. Okay, we have CIG contracts and like this, like we have 6 different certifications. So there is no as such prerequisite for appearing for certification. If you are a working consultant in at least you are having 12 months of experience in SAP Ariba, your company can apply for the certification. That is one way
Okay,
of going for that one. Another is you can appear the certification on your own also. Okay, so you need
okay,
to apply for cloud certification. Anyone can do it. Anyone is not mandatory like you should have it. So anyone can do it. So you need to have a 12 months of not necessary to have 12 months, but you apply for cloud certification. They will give you 6 attempts in 1 year. It means like you can appear for all 6 exams, not only Ariba one, but also S4 HANA. We do have a couple of
mm-hmm.
certification in S4 HANA. That also it's a combination. So total 6 certifications you can attempt with one maximum of 3. I mean, like,
Okay,
let's say you are appearing for sourcing. Okay, you can give maximum 3 attempts. If you are unable to clear that one, your that attempts will be exhausted for the year. Next year you can appear it again. So something, but
okay,
it's
got it.
going to be very easy. We have
And
another process. Even though we are in the training, we are going to share the certification materials also. And the training
okay,
for this one is designed in such a way we have 95% of success rate clearing the certification. Whoever has taken the training from us, majorly sourcing and procurement, and nobody is going to
got
appear for all 6 certifications. Okay, they will
got it.
go for only one or two, like sourcing and procurement is the major one.
I think those are my questions. Thank you for answering.
You're most welcome, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else?
Yeah. I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Okay. So I have some basic knowledge of MM, and I quite understand procurement processes, the business processes. So what I'm particular about is mapping those processes uh, uh, in the system. That's the Ariba uh, e-procurement system. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a situation where, aside from hands-on, which I believe that is what the training will be all about. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
Looking at how configuration of those business processes can be done, in Ariba. After the training, will there be a kind of internship where you work on a live project just to have um, a a kind of project experience?
Got your point. Got your point.
Yeah.
You see,
So that's because
ideally,
that's
I
very
got you.
for me. I've worked on a couple of projects. So for me, I've worked on Sage ERP projects too. So for me, that is what is paramount. We can um, one can attend a training, understand business processes, but if you don't have the actual project experience to see how
Mm.
these can be applied on the project, where you do a full life cycle
I
end-to-end
got your
project,
point. Yep, I got your
then
point.
then that experience will not that the training will not really be useful at the end of the day. So
Yes,
I'm
I got.
actually more particular about project kind of experience rather than theory. You understand what I'm
I
saying?
got your point. Let me
That
answer your
that's one.
question.
Then
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
the trainer, what is his background in SAP? Uh, how many years experience, project experience does the trainer has?
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Yeah,
second
let
question
me
I'd
answer
like.
your question one by one.
Yeah.
Okay, Adimi. Yeah. So regarding the trainer, I told you, Manish, he's having more than 18 years of experience. Okay, he's a pure procurement person. Like he was working before in S4HANA MM, then later on he has shifted in SAP Ariba. Right now he's a solution architect in SAP Ariba. Okay, and he's having very strong experience. He has done a lot of projects both in SAP MM and also in SAP Ariba. Okay, he's having very extensive experience. There is no doubt in this one. Okay, that is one thing. Now, coming to your questions regarding the internship kind of project, here you can see like nobody in the training can give anyone internship kind of thing, because you see, I'll tell you the reason. If you're talking about Sage, Tally, Sage, or any other accounting software or ERP solution, so those are not Sage is already been developed. It's an Australian ERP solution. So if you are working as an end user, is a different story altogether. Now if you're talking about any SAP Ariba project, complete end-to-end project which is having upstream, downstream, and integration, ideally is going to go for approximately 16 to 18 months, okay, with 3 resources. So practically, it is not possible in a training, in a standard training, anywhere you go in the world. Okay, in a standard training, you will be given any project, because SAP project has lot of things to be carry forward for this one, because we have different method, means like stages on this one, and different kind of people need to be involved. So ideally, it is not possible for any institute or anyone to give you the project, a kind of internship in the project. Not possible, that one. But during the training which we are covering in the topics, so all the project related scenarios we are going to discuss, so that you are going to be well equipped when you are going to onboard in any kind of project. This is how our methodology is. If you are clearly looking for the project, no, I can, my straight answer is going to be no. Not only us, but no one can give you the project directly.
Sorry, what's your name? The one who is hosting this SAP training?
Yeah, Fahad, this is Iraj.
Giraj. Okay. Can you send me the email?
Iraj.
Yeah, Viraj.
Yeah.
Yeah, just send me the email. So I need to.
Email about.
About the pricing and all of the scores.
Oh, will do. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. The other question I have: what resources will be provided aside from? I know you have the recording that will be provided. What other resources will be provided after the training? Will there be server access to practice? You know.
Yes.
Uh,
As we have discussed just now, we are going to provide you the access for practice. Okay, for 2 months. The access duration is going to be 2 months, where 24/7 access will be given to you remotely.
Okay, so aside from that, what other resources should be provided to help one become, skilled after the training? Project-related resources, I mean.
Uh, Sorry, I didn't get your question clearly. Would you be more clear
So
on this?
what other project-related sources, I mean, like materials that can be useful if you're working on a
Project
project?
documentation, you are saying. Yes, we do
Yes,
have
something like that.
some of the documentation readily available. Not all of it, because I really don't want any other participants to have wrong perception on that one. Like, we are providing all the project related documentations, because you see, in Ariba, we not only in Ariba and SAP, different projects have a different documentations. Correct. So we have some standard templates of SAP Ariba projects. So those standard templates we are going to share with you. Yeah, one or two templates, and I don't think so which are really going to be helpful for you, but it's going to give a guideline like how the documentation works here. Okay, because once you are going to be on, it's not going to be so difficult, guys, like how you are thinking on this one. Ariba is not so difficult tool to get into. It's with a very proper guidance in the training, definitely you can get a mastery in very less time. That is one thing. And clearing the interview is also not going to be so big challenge if you are having a clear understanding of the processes. Okay, now another thing most of the participants will ask are, let's say for example, if we got selected in any project, or right now we are working on any project, and we are so much struggling, that's the reason only we are taking the training, and we want to have some sort of support in the project. Yes, so that particular facility also, that particular service also we are having here. Okay, so we have a separate engagement on that one. We call it as what, project support. So irrespective of whichever the project you are working, whether it's going to be a support project, or it's going to be an implementation project, or it's going to be a huge implementation, whichever kind of the size of your project is, so you can we'll have a project support uh, facility for this one, project support service, I can say.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, my name is Shashank, and I have like 3 years of experience and working as an end user in this P2P cycle. And like I create PO in
End
SAP
user what?
MM and yeah, end user.
Okay.
So
Okay,
like I
end user
create
in
PO,
SAP MM we are saying.
right. In this P2P cycle, and so like
Okay.
what I do is like I create PO in SAP MM, or like I create this GRN and this the good
Mhm.
receipts. Yeah,
Okay.
so I am aspiring like to be in a consultant, and so like a
Mhm.
Ariba consultant. So my question is like after this training, having this 3 years of
Mhm.
experience as an end user, and like will I be enough knowledgeable to get into the SAP Ariba consultant roles?
A very good question. Here I want to make it very clear to everyone, not only to you but to everyone. See, a lot of people, a lot of institutes, a lot of organizations give wrong guidance to everyone. They'll say they want their participants to get trained, collect the fees, finish it. We are not like that. Okay, first thing is like we will clear everyone, like, is getting the training from anywhere is not enough here. Okay, if you are, even though if you are having 10 years of domain experience, and you are saying like, I have got a good training, and I never worked in Ariba, I want a job. Honestly, I'm saying nobody is going to give you a job. Okay, for that, the minimum requirement for this one is at least 3 years of working experience. Minimum, I'm saying. Then only your resume is going to be filled. So that's how it works here in the industry. Okay. So now you are asking like, I don't have this one, I don't have a job right now in SAP Ariba. Then how I'm going to get an experience? And I'll not get an job unless I have an experience. So it's a catch 22 kind of situation where you need to be little diplomatic here. Okay,
Yeah.
what do I mean by diplomatic approach? So it means like you are going to say, yes, I have already at least 3 years of experience, and that you have to manage it anyhow. Okay, 2 to 3 years of experience that you have to manage, since you are in your case, since you are already working in SAP as an end user actually.
MM.
So I
Right, right.
assume like
Yeah.
you are having a good understanding of the processes. Okay. The
Correct.
only challenge for you is to learn the tool thoroughly as a consultant level. Correct or not? So that you can do
Right,
it
right.
with
Correct.
our training. So with I can assure you with our training, if you are practicing what is being taught in the sessions and how that Manish is sharing his experiences, not only this one, guys, we are having a lot of other tools also. We'll ask you to do registered with SCN, okay, SAP Community Network, where you can see you take this one training not only as just the training, you take it as a journey of learning, where take it as a challenge, give 6 months to it dedicatedly. I can assure you like you will be getting a very good job. And you can justify that 3 years of experience. Yes, you can justify that 3 years of experience. Not 100%. I
Okay.
don't want to be overcommit on this one because a person who is working 3 years, daily 8 hours, 5 days a week, he'll be in a different level, right? So how can you compete with that particular person? And this is a fact everybody knows. Even a person who is taking the interview also knows like sometimes they'll close an eye saying like, okay, fine, we need a this particular thing to be filled up, and anyway the person is having a good knowledge, good experience, let it be on board kind of things. So to be honest, I'm saying you need to show 3 years of experience for sure. Okay, there is no other
Yeah.
one this one. Okay, and you have to be at
Okay.
least get a justifiable knowledge for this one that obviously we are going to provide.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
That's the challenge I have, because I have open SAP basic Ariba um, certification. I did the training with
Mm-hmm.
SAP, and I've been approached a
Mm-hmm.
couple of times by um, recruitment agencies
Mm-hmm.
for clients to come on board for Ariba
Now you
projects.
see,
But
like all those things are. That's why I'm saying, in a generic way, I'm saying these are the common challenges what everyone face. If you are trying to transit from your any other technology to SAP Ariba, that's a challenge, and we had to, you know, uh, overcome this particular challenge by some of the things which we are going to show you here how to do it. Okay, and even we are going to prepare your resume as per the standard, as per the current market standards, that we are going to help you out to prepare your resume as well. So whichever the best we can do, we are going to do our best to help you out on that for sure. Okay.
I have one question. Out of the 6 modules which mentioned in the demo class, which are the most demandable modules? Like in SAP, MMSD and FICO are some of the most demand in the market. Likewise,
In Ariba you are saying?
yes, I am asking about Ariba. Which modules are more?
It's a little difficult to answer that question very accurately because you see it depends upon the type of project you are into. So some of the companies, they'll start with upstream projects, so in which they will look for sourcing and procurement consultants majorly, sourcing consultants initially. The resources who are having the clear understanding of the sourcing or SLP processes, all those things. And in some projects they'll be asking for P2P. Okay, so uh, what I suggest is like you should not confine yourself or your knowledge to one specific area, because it's not like learning the whole FICO module or learning the whole SD module here. Okay, combinedly all this upstream, downstream and integration is not even like I can say 20% or 30% of SDRMN side. Honestly, I'm saying it's not a big tool, guys. But I don't know
Okay.
why they have segregated it so difficultly, like given like 6 different certifications on this one. It's not a big tool, first thing. So what we recommend to everyone is like have a good understanding in all the modules. We don't know where you are going to get the opportunity as such, right or not? So based on that, definitely you could you could be qualifying for that particular position. And sometimes any employer will be expecting, any company will be expecting you should be good at P2P as well as in integration also. It's not like they are only looking for a separate integration consultants, no. Because right now you see current market situation is a little tough here, and this is going to be there till 2030 also, same. Sorry, 2023, end of this 2023. So the companies are cutting the cost. For that, they want multiple resources Instead of multiple resources, they want one resource to work on multiple things. So that particular skill sets you need to develop on this.
Yeah, fine, thanks.
Yeah, most
Viraj,
welcome.
I have a question. This is
Yes, Sandeep.
totally related to Ariba itself. So, in like in many companies, the procurement process is like it might not be the same. And Ariba being a solution that's already built, what is the level of customization that we can provide to the end customer?
Right here. Got it. Very good question. This is one of the very best question so far been asked in this session. Okay, you see here, a lot of people are having a misunderstanding like we can do a lot of customizations in SAP Ariba, because you see, in SAP ERP I'm talking about, you can do at least you can do even 60% of 70% out of the box configurations. You know about it, right? So depending upon the customer, whichever they are demanding, we can change it using taking a Vapor or taking the consultant. We can do it. But here in Ariba is very specific. Okay, we have two important things here. One is here enhancement request. For anything to be changed, anything to be enhanced, if you want to within standard solution what Ariba is giving to us, if you want to enhance in this one, there is no control in our hand. In our hand means like in consultant's hand. We can't do any out of the box changes in SAP Ariba. If at all it's very necessary, if you want to do it, you need to raise an enhancement request to SAP. So SAP Ariba itself, they will review the request whether it's going to be really valid or not, because it's a cloud solution. First thing we need to understand here is it's a cloud solution. So if you are doing some enhancement, so it's going to reflect globally for every client, is going to be reflect over there, correct or not? So they will see the feasibility if they keep on changing on the demand of every customer. So the whole tool is going to be so distorted. You're getting my point. It's not a specific solution, it's a cloud solution. So Ariba is having the authority. They want to do it or not do it. If they want to do it, they'll charge on a very higher basis. So as an Ariba consultant, we are not allowed to touch anything. We don't have access for the database also here.
Okay, I just wanted to know that because I keep hearing people talking about customization, and I've personally worked on an AI solution, cloud-based solution, and
Little bit of
uh,
customizations here and there, that is possible, but if we are talking about totally out of the box customization, that is not possible here in SAP Ariba.
okay. That makes sense. That makes sense to me. Yeah. That's so basically, as a functional consultant, you tell what is the process that Ariba is following in say P2P module, and you try
Yes.
to match that with the customer and probably educate him with that. That's the idea, right?
Yeah, that's the idea. You see, we are going to, talk to the customer in a way like, boss, you should not look this one as an ERP solution. This is not an ERP solution. Because like there are going to be a lot of challenges making this tool to be a custom for the customers. There's a lot of challenges. Even in our projects also we have faced so many things. We not only do the trainings, but also we take some offshore projects as well. Okay, so it's very difficult for us to educate the customer. Sometimes the customer is so rigid, like they say, oh, this can be done in SAP side so easily, why can't we achieve this one? So these two tools are different, so we have to educate them. So these are the things. With this one, it has some limitations, so based on that we can achieve the things. I think Manish will give you more insight on this one. Manish, should you be putting more insight on this?
Eraj, Manish is not in the session. He got some urgent call, so
Oh, okay,
So
okay, fine,
just
that's fine.
just a follow-up question on the same. Like
Yeah,
since you say that as Ariba is so much rigid in terms of changing any documentation or
right.
any process. So what
Mhm.
is the current adoption percentage of Ariba in a company where SAP as a ERP is already present? And how do you see the future of Ariba in terms of its growth? So that the course becomes very much specific to the end users as well, those who will be taking on the course as well. This.
Very good question. So here you see what happens is Ariba is not an ERP, first thing. Okay. Now the second thing is Ariba is having its own advantages. Now you'll ask me what are the advantages here. So there are three strong features of Ariba, which really, makes any client who is doing a lot of procurement to opt for SAP Ariba. First, number one is it's a cloud solution. Okay, so cloud solution means like you are, overriding the costly hardware. No need to put a costly hardware to, engage for
Correct,
any other
correct.
tool for this. And another is like to maintain that those hardwares, you need to have lot of resources like basis person, system admin, all those things. So first thing is like cutting cost over here once it is a cloud solution. Now the second beautiful thing here in SAP Ariba is it's having a Ariba network. Okay, you know about it, right? SAP Ariba network, which already
Yes,
has more
yes.
than 3 million vendors, 3 million suppliers already onboarded over there, which is not there in SAP MM side. If you are going for, if anybody is having any experience here in SAP MM sourcing and procurement, they will know like it's going to be a little challenging for any vendor to be finalized to onboard the vendor here. So it's going to be, there's a lot of time wasting, and it's going to be get a quality vendor, quality supplier, I can say. Okay, but in SAP Ariba network, already 3 million is one of the world's largest Ariba network, largest supplier or vendor network. Even Coupa is also there. Okay, Coupa is also a solution for procurement, but it's not sustainable because of the so many factors here. That's the reason only SAP Ariba is picking up. So whenever you are saying, and it's very simple and easy. Okay, easy to use. It's a cloud solution. You can use it in a browser. Okay, you don't need to
Correct,
log on
correct,
into any other standard systems and all those things. So
correct,
that's
correct.
the reason it's getting its popularity, getting on catch. And the other thing is like if somebody wants to use only a specific module like sourcing module, okay, they only can buy that particular license. So licensing is very flexible over here. So licensing, costing, cost cutting, and available Ariba network, that will definitely is going to enhance the future of this one, SAP Ariba. That's the reason
So,
a lot of customers are mining and
so
easy to use.
currently, the companies which are migrating from SAP MM to SAP Ariba, like MM will remain. So it will be two systems. They'll be running parallelly with the help of CIG. They'll be interfacing with the two modules, SAP Ariba as
Yes.
well as SAP MM, because PO will be through SAP MM, and the invoice will be in Ariba, and the payment will again be in SAP.
Depends. Like there are multiple, depending upon the solutioning. Okay, how the solutioning you want to provide to the client. It's again a different topic. You'll get to understand in detail in the training itself. Okay, depending upon the solution, it can be a lot of customers they are using independently SAP Ariba only. Okay, without even they are having SAP systems.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what
there
is
are
the
customers.
adoption of Ariba in terms of a company, like suppose 100 companies have SAP MM as a module or SAP P2P solutions. So out of those,
Mhm.
currently how many are using Ariba as well for their sourcing needs or their SLP needs or the SMC needs? So, and
Uh,
how is that picking up?
Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers on this one, and I really don't want to give any wrong figures, facts and figures over there. So, in my knowledge, with my knowledge, roughly I am saying like it's more than 40%, 30 to 40%, I can say. Because you see, MM is a part of Ariba, sorry, MM is a part of ERP solution that you know about it. So, we can't eradicate ERP from our current ecosystem. ERP should be there because in ERP side we have MM, finance side, FICO, and all those things we are having. So all the finance related transactions definitely we need it, and that should be get posted into FICO side, finance side, correct or not? So all these things are very
Correct.
necessary in an ERP solution. Ariba is a higher layer where the process, I mean to say the whole procurement process is getting so easy for the suppliers, for the vendors who are posting the things, this one the whole transactions to finalize the vendors to onboarding them. So all these processes is been so simplified in SAP Ariba side. So that's the advantage of it. So we are never going to get rid of ERP solution, whether it's an MM side, MM, or any different ERP they are using. Okay, not SAP ERP, any other different ERP also they are using. They should have the ERP, a bigger industry I'm talking about.
Noted,
It's
noted.
never going to
Thank you
be.
so much.
All right, guys. So thank you so much. So if any other queries you are having, you please ping me, or you can call me also. You can take my number from the business developers, business BDEs or BREs, business relationship executives, and you can take my number. You can talk to me, and we are going to have a session tomorrow as well. Okay, so I request every
Okay.
one of you to be there for tomorrow meeting as well, where we are going to do actual hands-on, so that you'll have a clear understanding how we are going to proceed. Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate for your time and patience, guys. Thank you so
If you
much.
can ping me your number through LinkedIn or something, that will be great.
Okay, I'm going to ping
All
it
right.
over here in the chat window
All right.
only. Yeah?
Okay.
So
All right.
if you want, you can directly call me, or you can call me on WhatsApp. Okay.
Yeah. You can just ping me the number in the chat, and then. All right. And your name as well.
Okay.
I get your name.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks. Thanks. Bye.
I ping my number here. You can check it.
Okay.
All right, guys.
And
Thank you
your
so
name
much.
is
Really appreciate.
Iraj, right? Iraj.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Most.